What's up guys, it's KV here, KV Customs, and today I've got a Stihl 028 AF Super Saw here. This thing hasn't run in years, and so I'm going to take the carburetor apart and see what's going on. I poured gas in the spark plug and it starts and runs for a little while, so I know it's just a fuel problem. And when I got to it, it had a bunch of old gas, so I think the carburetor's just plugged up. Now, I'm still trying to get used to this YouTube thing, so I didn't pull out the camera for the takedown. So for instructions on taking it apart, you'll just have to reverse order how I end up putting it back together. Now, I've already got the carburetor off, but let me show you what that looks like. So here's the carburetor, and I took it off. I blew it with the air gun to get all the crap and sawdust off of it. Now what you're going to want to do is take off, there's 4 screws that go into this bottom plate here, and you're going to want to take those out and carefully remove that cover. And this is what you're going to find, a little diaphragm and a gasket there. Now this thing's pretty old, so what I had to do is take my razor blade scraper and just carefully go along the edges, all the way around, taking my time loosening that up, and I got it off in one piece. And there was a little bit of crud in there. So now that you have that off, you want to take this screw right here out. That holds down the little float valve, little needle valve that allows fuel to go into the carburetor. Try to stay out of the way of the camera there. Now I've already had this off. You can see that thing's kind of rusted up. Looks pretty scuzzy. A little spring there. Careful not to lose that guy. Just dump it down there. Now inside there, if she'll focus, is that little needle valve right there. And now that thing should pop right out. It loosened out, so I should be able to just grab it and work it out. Alright. A little bit of white. You see that white speck there? A little bit of stuff in there. Definitely. She'll focus there. A little bit of shit there. See that? Right at the tip. Right there. Some junk. And inside the hole, probably not gonna be able to see that without a flashlight, but needs cleaned out. Needs cleaned out. Now, so from here, I'm going to go ahead and take this top plate off also. Looks like it's just a flathead screw. There we go. And again, unless you have a gasket kit laying around, oh, that's falling right off. Unless you have a gasket kit laying around, take your time. Because 9 times out of 10 you can get these apart without ruining them. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at all that junk in there. Now that shit should not belong in a carburetor. That is varnish from old gas. Look at that stuff. And now behind that top plate there, I'm gonna have to try to work. Oh, just as soon as I speak, it comes right off. I have to work that off because underneath needs cleaned also. But for now, I'm gonna leave that on there just so I know where it goes. We're gonna focus on the main body of the carburetor. Now, a lot of times that's all you have to do. But I think on this one, probably should go ahead and remove the jets also. I'll at least take one out and see how it looks. So just to make sure, I'm going to screw this in and see how many turns in it is. To also keep track of that. There's a half. Oh, one turn. So they're both one turn out. Try to keep order of which ones are which. Now that's as far as we're going to be able to tear it down. And honestly, the jet holes weren't bad at all, but hey, if we're going to clean it, we're going to clean it. So now I'm going to get a little bit of carburetor cleaner and a couple of pokers and go to work on this thing. Alright, so now I took a little bit of carburetor cleaner and cleaned it off, and I took the air hose and now I'm going to just blow it all out, all the orifices, all the holes. Alright, as you can see there, still quite a bit of buildup, so I'm going to have to take my little screwdriver and just try to clean all that out. Alright, now I'm going to take the air and blow this thing out again. I'll just do that off camera. Alright. Now I've cleaned the intake hose out really well, so I don't see any real issues of why this thing won't run at this point, at least as far as the main body is concerned. Alright, I'm going to move on to this guy. Should be able to just wipe this off. This is just kind of a plastic membrane. Oh. Alright, that's clean. Now this guy, I'm going to take and blow it out. Make sure that that orifice there is clean. Go both ways. Oh yeah. No issues there. So this top half can go back together. Uh-oh, which way did that go now? Okay. Right. Tighten her up good. Perfect. Alright. Now we need to clean up this needle valve, and I'm just going to use a paper towel for that. Don't want to use any sandpaper or anything, because the stuff will just wipe right off. Now it's good practice when you're putting it back in to take it and force it in and spin it a little bit. That helps to get it reseated in there, and also clean out any junk. Don't force down too hard, just a little bit. That should do it. Alright. I'm going to take this little keeper apart, clean the shaft up. Blow the junk out of there. And put the shaft back in it. Put it back together. Alright, now this part can be pretty tricky. You gotta get, oh shit, just about lost a spring. Let me take my gloves off so you can see better and I can work better. So the spring goes in that little hole just like you took it apart. There's a little indentation on the back of that. That little nipple there fits inside the spring, and that little cradle goes around that valve. So the trick is to get it onto your spring first. Whew. This is definitely the trickiest part for me. I don't have little fingers. I got hair on me. Oh man. Get that screwdriver in there to hold it for us. Son of a gun. If I hold it up level, I might have a better shot at it. I'd love to be able to get this for you guys. Alright. Got my spring. You just need to angle it down where you grabs that. Press it down really good. You don't want it to pop out here. And then get your screw. Get this thing tightened down. Come on now. There we go. Now don't strip anything out, but make sure it's snug. Alright. Let's get our jets back in there. Those were one turn. Which will be a good starting point. I'm not sure what they're supposed to start at, but I'll tune it as I run it today. Gotta fall some trees, hopefully. One turn. The high side in. Bottom it out all the way. Back it out your one turn. It's a half. There's one. Alright. This thing's looking good. Now for the little bottom half, little diaphragm. Now I have to admit, this piece here seems to me a little bit on the stiff side. So I hope it has enough flex in it to work. But we'll see. There was a little bit of junk in there, but I got it wiped out. Didn't really need to blow it out. Be careful with this piece though, it is very delicate. And it was the hardest to remove. Alright. Now the little cover piece, which I don't remember which direction it faces, but that's alright. It doesn't really matter. There is a little vent hole to allow air to breathe on the other side of this, but no fuel gets through. Unless that little diaphragm is broken. Alright, tighten that up. With anything like this, I like to just loosely do it in a pattern there, a crisscross, and then I'll go back through, do it a little bit tighter. And then the last time is your final tight. Alright guys, that's a rebuilt carburetor right there. With no bought gaskets. Just how I like them. Alright, now let's put this bastard back together. Earlier I put some screws into my fuel lines so as to not get any junk in there. And also put paper towel in there, so I'm going to take this advantage to take the air and blow it out. Alright, pretty clean in there now. I'm going to start by wiping that off again in there. Alright, we'll pull that paper towel out of the way. Got one more little wipe. Okay, carburetor time. Take my screws out of here. You always want to make sure to cover things up when you take it apart. You don't want any junk in there. You won't have to take the carburetor back apart because you got some piece of sawdust in your fuel line. Alright, now that bottom in there, I'm going to try to use pliers on it. Alright. She's in there. Bolt her back down. And again, sorry for not starting the video from the start of this, so if you're just taking it apart, just follow this in reverse order. And again, just snug on one side, snug on the other, and give it your final tight. Oh, look at that. I fucked something up. Son of a bitch. Look at what I didn't notice. That little ring there got pulled out on my paper towel for the intake gasket. So I gotta take this thing back off. Yeah, at least I noticed it. Alright. This is how I got it out last time. It kind of gets stuck on that fuel line, so if you put a little screwdriver there, give it a little bit of pressure, wiggle it back and forth, she'll pop right off. Okay. I'll get this ring on there. Son of a bitch. Alright. Gosh. I'm glad I noticed it anyways. Okay. Get that fuel line out of the way there. Hook it back on. Pull that one out a little bit. Set this one on there. Beautiful. Bolt it back down. Oh, this thing's gonna run like a champ. Get out here. Just mowing the grass for me. Just mowing the grass. Hey! What are you doing? What do you think you're doing? Alright. Again. We'll just lightly tighten it. Go back, do a final tighten. Now if you're unsure about this, how tight to do it, if you've never done this, you should look up torque specs, get you a torque wrench. I've tightened so many nuts and bolts in my life that I got a pretty good idea of how much to tighten things. Got this screw, wood screw stuck in the side. It must have just rattled in there or something. Yeah, that old sheetrock screw stuck in the side there. Alright, now that that's done, now I need to switch focus to the air filter, which is cleanable and it needs cleaned. Well, one thing that I forgot to mention there is that these separate the two halves. There's a little butterfly in there. The two halves separate, which allows you to blow it out from either side. And that's pretty easy. Screwdriver, pair of pliers. That's it. Alright. Air filter. This you want to go back and forth a little bit so it walks itself down nice and evenly. Now this one here was fucked up. It's kind of wobbled out, so if you're really using your force, I put 2 screwdrivers in there. Hold them tight, use them both. Alright, that is it. That carburetor is rebuilt and it is on there. Last thing to do is probably pour a little gas down the spark plug to help get it primed up a little bit, get it running, and we'll see what happens. Alright, let's see if this thing runs. Let's choke on. Well, alright guys, I'd say that's a pretty damn good success. So that's how you build I would say not rebuild, but clean out and make operable an old Stihl chainsaw carburetor. Like, comment, subscribe. Till next time, it's KV Customs here. Fuck.